Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
I'm Richard.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Amanda.
Yay! And we're here saving the planet.
One show at a
One
time.
show at a time.
Love it.
What are we talking about today?
I think we have a number of topics we could be talking about. First of all, Amanda
Yes.
has some interesting information I think I'd like to know more about.
And Amanda's amazing. We met,
We met,
on a hike.
Hiking at, up in the preserve.
Yeah.
And it was just such a beautiful time to meet you. And
It was.
because everything you're doing is so sustainable. And Mikey, we met sitting at a happy hour and just hit it off, and we've become the best of friends.
The best way to meet, yeah. Although hiking is great too, because it's very great for your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Mikey has her own orchard and garden, and she does a lot of cooking, and she's all about sustainability. So we have so much to talk about today, but we are really excited to hear about, I didn't know anything about this trauma yoga that that you're trying to share with others.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it, Amanda?
Absolutely. So the trauma-informed yoga is something I've been practicing for 13, 14 years now, going more on the 14-year end. And I loved yoga. It was really amazing for my health journey to kind of release what was going on naturally with what I went through in life. And so with what I was doing, I was trying to practice, I would say, like Instagram yoga, and it just wasn't working for me. It wasn't my niche. And I started doing practices in my own body that felt really good. And then I started networking with girls, talking like, what school did you go to? How did you start practicing? Where did you learn how to, program yourself? And how are you putting classes together and the choreograph of this? And as I talked to all these people, they're like, you just figure it out. I'm like, well, I need you to like write this out for me, like step by step.
Mm-hmm.
And there just isn't. There's not. It's art. Art is a beautiful thing. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm an artist and I need to figure this out. And so I had worked in children's mental health for a long time, and I just started doing practices with them where maybe they're frustrated with their family, and I'm like, okay, let's like wiggle it out, let's shake it out. And I realized that while doing these somatic practices, feeling into the body and what you're going through right now and associating the mind with the physical, that was a practice, even though it was something that we probably all do, but we don't really put intention behind it. But I was bringing awareness to it, bringing attention to it. And through that, it was like manifestation. I started meeting people and talking to people. And
Well, like us, the way we own it.
yeah, absolutely. It was literally just like that, just like conversation. And I was so excited that it was in every conversation I was having. And people were like, why do you always talk about this stuff? I'm like, 'cause it's awesome. Like, you have to talk about it. And then I found out that there is a trauma school.
Well, because people that have been through some trauma and abuse really need a release.
Absolutely.
And you've had a really tough childhood.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, and thank you for sharing that with me. I don't know, you probably don't want
No,
to share that on
I'm
here,
an
but
open book.
so I think it's really beautiful that you're now trying to help others.
Thank you.
And as you're doing that, you're helping yourself.
Yeah.
So you're doing yoga, you're using yoga to release and dissolve trauma.
Yes, absolutely.
Does it change the way you do yoga at all?
Good question.
Yeah. Yes.
Or there's a certain
How is it
types
different
of
than regular yoga?
that
Yeah, because
apply-
there's like a different yogis for like everything.
Oh, yeah.
There's a rock yoga, like there's the hot yoga. There's just different
There's
variations
goat
of
yoga,
it. Yeah.
for Christ's
Yeah.
sake.
Yeah.
Chet
Yeah,
does yoga.
Literally.
yoga with pets and stuff. But I
Seriously?
think hers focuses really on the nervous system, right? And just really releasing that trauma in the nervous system, because with certain moves you can obviously develop a technique and just a way to release those toxins and that tension, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In all yoga, there's awareness in the body, but a lot of us, as if we're like, oh, you're inviting me to a class, we don't know that per se. We're just going into a class because our girlfriend asked. And so this is honed in specifically where it's more maybe a bit therapeutic, if I can use that phrase. And you're bringing awareness to what the person's going through, where they're at mentally. We check in emotionally, mentally, physically, and then we get them to feel into the body. And that actually could be where they pick what we do with movement, and or I've known you and I got a really personal relationship, so I know you're needing release here or there, or there's a lot of like heart stuff going on, you know, emotional. And so it's really focused on breath and breathing.
Yeah,
a lot of us breathe, you know, from here, and we're supposed to be breathing from, you know,
breathing
stomach.
brings you into presence, and then you can recognize the body, where you're feeling things in your body, the sensations,
Yeah.
right?
Have you had any criers yet? I just have to know because
That's a great question.
I feel like I would
Oh,
cry. I feel like
That's a great
I feel
question.
like it would release
they're
something
not
inside
really,
of
you
me
know,
that, like, you
yeah.
know, all of a sudden the waterworks would just happen.
That's
It's like
it.
the opposite of like getting a massage
That's
and like passing
releasing
gas.
all the
It's like
repressed
releasing
emotion.
that emotion, then all of a sudden being a bucket of tears.
Yeah.
So do you get that? You get a lot
You
of
see,
the,
in our culture,
clients.
it's
Yes.
not safe to express. We grow up as children, it's not safe to express emotion.
No, it's not.
And so it's all, you know, it's in the body, and when you breathe into presence like that, and you know, or put awareness on it, then you are going to get emotional release. And once you've released that emotion, then it's dissolved back into infinite possibility from where it came to begin with.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I think when we become more emotionally aware and mental health aware in
Yeah.
nowadays in
Yeah.
society, we need to know like root causes, right? And like how do we, like you said, dissipate it? Where do we release this at? And when you go to that root emotion, and it could be where like, okay, we worked on breath and then you're feeling really tight in your shoulders, and then you might have a release, you cry, and you realize all these emotions come up of childhood and this and that, and I like held myself in a ball, I felt scared, I, you know, was in an abusive relationship, whatever it might be, you realize it's from that. And you don't need to go deeper like, well, that one time when this and that
No,
happened.
you don't.
It's just that this is where it's
Yeah.
coming from. I held on because the mind couldn't catch up with the physical. This was a way to keep myself safe, and now I get to release it. And you just work on it, and you figure out stretches, and you breathe into it. And now maybe before your shoulders were so locked up you couldn't do downward dog, now you can. You know, it's
Mhm.
this gradual stepping stone of like, I can't do the picture perfect yoga that's on the internet, but I need to feel into this. And now that I've done this for X amount of time, I'm now able to do some of these poses that all the other girls and guys are doing. So
How long is the class?
it
that's a great question.
yeah, it depends.
Mhm.
I have to do interviews with people. Where are you at? Why are you coming for trauma healing and trauma yoga?
So these are individuals?
Very much
Oh,
so.
okay. So this
Individual
is what case by
okay,
like
cool.
Yes.
one-on-ones. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense too because I would feel more open crying with just one person instead of in a group of people.
Oh, it's more fun in a group, and then they all start
No,
crying.
we don't
Everyone's
need a group
Yeah.
hang for that. But
It's a cry
but,
fest.
you know, people invest money in personal trainers and fair therapy where they can talk about things. Yoga is a great way to actually be able to decompress your body from a ton of trauma and a different type of therapy in a sense.
Absolutely, because for me, I had been through therapy since I was a child, and I know where all my stuff comes from. I know my things and, you know, all the traumas I've been through, but I needed a physical release, and so
You have
that's
to
where
do it. You have to feel it physically.
Like the
in order to release
endorphins or
emotion.
just even
You
yeah,
really do.
you do.
I think Chad had a question. He went to
Yeah,
the mic.
sorry.
I wasn't really gonna say it was a question. I was just gonna comment on Richard's comment that it really does get held in the body, like that tension and trauma.
Mhm.
And the only ways to release it, I think, for the most part, are physical exercise, whether that's yoga, running, or lifting. But running and lifting are so much more taxing on the joints, and it basically takes a higher skill level to be able to get a good lift or a good run in. But anybody, yoga is so scalable, it can be scaled to anybody. Even if you're really out of shape, there are different
Yeah.
yoga regimens you can still do that will like just target your areas of mobility that you need to work on. So it's an amazing release for people that, you know, are maybe older and their knees can't let them run anymore or lift anymore. Yoga is always still going to be an option, even, you know, for everybody. So
Yeah, there's
very
there's
inclusive,
chair
yeah.
yoga. You know, you can
Yeah.
actually sit in
That's
a chair.
true,
and
yeah.
where you
Yeah.
just upper body
Really?
exactly for
Yeah, yeah.
amputees and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's such
Well,
a
and
great point.
It also is so. I think there's something so calming about it. So if you
Mhm.
just want to relax,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but sometimes
That's the
you just
idea.
need to meditate and just relax.
Yeah. And it's funny to go back to your point, like even if yesterday you need the relaxing yoga and today you're needing more of, you're fired up, you know, you have a lot of more anger, rage inside your body.
Frustration,
Yeah, you can do more like HIIT yoga. There's things to incorporate Pilates or Kundalini where you're going crazy with your body and your arms.
Yeah, and
Yoga Lattes, right?
I've also
Isn't
found
that
that
the
if it's just
blend?
if it's just like
I've
a
heard of
fast moving
it.
flow where the poses are difficult, then just keeping up to
Kundalini
that is
Pilates.
like fires you up because it's difficult. Like
Yeah.
I've done some flows that are really really challenging.
Yeah, and like holding the pose when you know you kind of have a bad attitude and you're like, oh. And then you're okay. Well, we're gonna hold this pose and see what comes up, and then eventually you break yourself down. You're like, oh, okay, fine. I'm really upset. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a practice that I feel like anyone could benefit from. Realistically, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Well, tell us a little bit about, I'm curious about, we discussed when we met about you being, you're into holistic coaching and nutritional coaching and exercise and all the yoga and all that, and then something with brainwaves, but specifically with the nutrition, if you have a client that is eating a lot of fast food and Uber Eats and choosing some unhealthy foods, but then they think they can exercise it all off, is that the case?
Oh, you get that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this is where when it's holistic, you meet the person at where they're at their needs. And it's a way for people to realize, because I work with a mind, body, and soul connection. It has to be all the parts. Like, yes, we're a whole, but individually we're not really understanding that there is a disconnection, but there's also the fullness of the whole connection. So the person has to realize that there's a problem with the way they're eating. Otherwise it doesn't work. If they are really big on this is working for me, because of my schedule, and I'm going to eat McDonald's every day, then it's just like putting in 3 little parts of like, okay, instead of McDonald's 5 days a week, could you pack a lunch? What does that look like? How do we figure out time management? Should we go over like a budget? Do you have a budget? I mean, we break down some of this complex things at the simplest form where then they start realizing, oh my gosh, I'm spending a lot of money. Oh my gosh, no wonder why I'm having headaches or bloating. I'm eating a bunch of, preservatives.
Processed food, yeah.
Yeah, so it sometimes people aren't aware. They're like, hamburger is healthy. I'm eating a burger from McDonald's every day. That is healthy. I need protein. I lift weights.
Well,
And,
yeah.
and it's
That's not grade A meat. That's
No.
definitely, that's like grade D,
It's like-
fitness maybe.
It's not even dog food.
Yeah.
You
Why
can
not
feed your
even
dog.
be me? yeah. But you do, and if you push at someone like, did you know what you're doing is wrong? They're gonna be like, well, screw you. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, don't do it.
So I love your approach. It's very
Yeah,
gentle.
That's good.
Yeah.
You have a very
That's-
gentle approach.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your process?
Yeah, so you tell me why you're coming here. You tell me what you're needing. And yes, you may say, oh, I need nutrition. But to me, I'm seeing maybe there's more of like a mental health approach to life coaching, like reworking the way you think. The nervous system, maybe you're like, I don't need to work. I don't need any of that. And we just work on some breath work and bringing that awareness to the body of maybe there is some anxiety there, because you are living in a fast-paced world and you have all these things going on. And so, yes, you're telling me what you need, and then I just ask, like, would it be okay? I ask permission. Everything about even this trauma yoga, it's asking permission, using invitational language, whether it's the nutrition, yoga, any of it,
Yeah,
because you
That's so
have
great.
to.
Yeah.
Because you get to decide. I don't get to tell you how to live your life.
That's the way, yeah.
I'm living might look what's great for me. It might look like the right way. But again, what we were talking about, it's everyone's different. Everyone needs to eat
Genetically, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like what your body is capable of.
different.
I'm sure there's got to be times where you probably would decline a client, right?
Yes.
Because if you can't meet like your process like standards and like expectations for whatever program, like I don't know if you do it with like 90 day or 30 days or like how you can explain to us like how you do your program with people. But I got to imagine there's some people that are probably just so stubborn and stuck in their ways.
Don't they have to acknowledge the problem in order for there to be any
True.
progress? Or like,
Very
yeah, 'cause
true.
I know somebody who basically has an addiction problem,
Mhm.
and they're so deep in denial about it that they basically just point the finger back at anybody else when they are asked about it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, at this point, is it even worth trying to fix it anymore? Because every time it just turns into another fight of them pointing the arrow back, pointing the finger back.
Yeah. And
There's
that's-
no desire to actually fix the problem.
Absolutely. And I feel like we all kind of go through that. Some of us are just deeper down the hole. And one of the pieces, and maybe it's codependency on my end, I am a recovering codependent, but I don't like to give up on people. But I'm very honest, like, because just say you're that person, hey, you and I are going to have to work together for a long time, because a lot of that's going to be me just listening, because you're not ready to hear what I have to say. And I will try to input little seeds, but then you're just not ready. But you don't want to give up on this like coaching experience. So I listen, and eventually there is a breakthrough of some sorts, even if it's small, something slight. But I'm very honest, like, I do a lot of like pro bono type of work and helping people, but there's a point where like you need to own responsibility, and I'm happy to help you, but you know, it looks like we're gonna have to work together for a year, and we might not get the results you want because you're telling me these are your results, but you're also not wanting to take some of the lead that I am suggesting. And so it's really hard. It's having these really candid boundary types of conversations that people get very upset with you, like, you're the problem, you're telling me how to do it. I'm not. I just know if you want to work with me and you want to hear some of what I have to say, we have to have a plan, we have to have a goal, and we have to find all the pieces to
Well,
get
it's a
there.
denial level to the point where they're literally trying to stick up that drinking every day isn't bad for you.
Yeah.
Which is
You have
like,
to take ownership,
which is like-
and responsibility.
which is a
at one
different
point.
whole entire
Yeah.
reality, which
Yeah.
is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the same page with somebody who's not seeing the reality of something like that. I don't know how you get there.
And my question would be for that person, if they kept telling me that, I'd be like, where did you come up with that idea? And they'd be like, what do you mean? You know, and it's like, and keep prompting that.
It's
Where
not
did
sustainable.
yeah, where did you get that idea that drinking every day is okay? And eventually they're gonna break down. Well, I guess I was in those environments, so that's just what we do.
Well, they
Like,
do it in France.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think they're getting blacked out. They're just having a glass of wine, you know, at each
Well, still
meal.
drinking every
3
day, but
ounces,
that's a
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
that's a different-
exactly.
that's
In
a
Italy.
That's, you know, that's a
When
different
in Rome,
process.
obviously.
Yeah.
You know, in Europe, a bottle of wine is on the table. It's literally a fifth food group, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I was
Yeah.
very fortunate to be able to go to Europe every summer with my parents, and you know, even the kids had wine at dinner.
Mhm.
All the children did. Like, it was like
Yeah.
nobody tried to drink.
Well, it's
'cause it was just
interesting.
there.
It's almost like their openness with it is why they have less of a problem with
Less of
alcohol.
addiction. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
In
absolutely.
this country,
That's
Yeah.
true.
drinking is
Demonized,
Mm.
well, it's a rite of passage,
but it's
literally.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
but there
like
is
you
an
know,
aspect where they
You
try to
become 21,
demonize
you
it,
go
and then
out to
that's
a bar
what
with a
creates
bunch
the
of friends. You have 21 drinks in an hour and die of alcohol poisoning. There's a rite of passage.
But it's the fact that they demonize it is why it seemed
Yeah,
rebellious
of
or
course.
cool to drink
Of
too
course.
much.
That's true.
If they got
That's a
rid
good
of that
point.
whole mindset, then it would just be like, oh, drinking is just a part of life once you're old enough. It's not like rebellious or cool to do it more.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because my parents, when it was dinner, we could have a little bit of wine if we wanted it. But then when my friends would sneak out to drink at like 15, I'd be like, why am I going to sneak out?
Yeah, I can do it at
Right,
home.
I don't even like
Well,
the
it
taste of
wasn't put on a pedestal. It wasn't put on a pedestal. It's kind of like the same factor with different foods and like sweets and stuff like that. Like my daughters, that they equal stuff out. Like I'll bake cookies and they'll have a couple cookies. They won't eat the entire tray of cookies. You know, they know when to like slow down and stop themselves. But I've never made it where it's like you can't. Like it's out there.
Well, and the big
You
thing
know?
is that for
I love that.
habits that are like fun but kind of can be destructive if you do too much, you don't have to get rid of them entirely. But the way for them to be the most beneficial is kind of like less is more.
Moderation.
When it comes to
yeah.
sweets, like if you just have dessert once or twice a week, it's so much more special and you enjoy it so much more than if you're having a dessert with every meal. So it's like less is more with drinks and with sweets, other things like that that might taste good and like you don't want to get rid of, but aren't healthy. Just less is more.
Yeah.
Do it a little bit less and you'll get more out of it.
So you being a nutrition coach,
Mhm.
how bad is sugar? You know,
So bad.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of sugar.
Yeah, yeah,
like-
exactly.
And it,
processed sugar.
The
oh,
worst
gosh,
is refined sugar.
Yeah,
Refined
worst.
yeah,
Yeah,
sweeteners
so
and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. But natural sugars, we need that, like from fruits and
Gotta have.
you know, maple
Blueberries
syrup,
and
blueberries
strawberries.
and, yeah, and honey. We need those, even though
Brain food.
yeah, it
So
literally
is
is
fat brain
glycogen.
food.
Well, it's like the omega.
Yeah, your brain needs
it's
fat
the
and
middle
sugar.
of the
Oh,
egg.
wait a minute. No wonder people are so stupid in this country.
Well, no, it's funny that you bring that up with sugar because I noticed a dramatic change, and I was thinking about this on the car right over here. because we were talking about like health and skin and like wellness and stuff like that, and like your body will actually tell you when things are off, like when you've been drinking too much, you know, your liver is going to act up, like certain things are going to like, you know, break down on you. And I've noticed like a dramatic change in like people in this current society breaking out with eczema, and it's even more profound now. And I cut back on sugar and bread and specifically also bourbon. There's a lot of sugar in that, and I realized bourbon, it was killing my gut, and it was I was breaking out in like patches of just eczema, like on my stomach, on my breast, like my back, like it was on my wrist and stuff like that. And I was like, what is going on? And it had everything to do with what I was putting in my body and my nutrition. And I was like, okay, we're gonna move this out. Like if I had I had a bagel today, I was like, it's not a big deal that I had bread. You know, obviously you want like better bread, you know, like sourdough or something like that's fresh and not like been sitting on a shelf for months. But I learned that about myself, and I think most people need to like learn, and some people, they just don't have the time or they don't know, so they would go to somebody like Amanda and they would say, how can I make better choices, or why is my body doing this? Like, is it stress, is it trauma, or is it what I'm intaking, you know? And so, you know, with your entire like program, I'm sure people would really be interested in like how they can change those habits and make better habits and choices for like the longevity of their body.
Absolutely. And you know what I love to talk about is that it's hard to get away from preservatives, and that's what a sugar is used with, you know, too, are used for, to preserve these foods, and it's just not healthy. But also these sugars and things feed the pathogens that are in our body, whether it's just from the natural ways of life or what we're eating. And so every day we need to be eating foods that fuel our body, obviously, but also that are cutting down pathogens in the body. And so like honey is a great antimicrobial and antifungal, and wild blueberries are so medicinal. And that's the thing, in our society, in our culture, we're starting to eat for just the fun of it, for, you know, oh, well, this is just what we do, it's a social thing. And it's like, actually it's medicine for the body. We need food for the physical body. Like they say, you know, you need the spiritualness for.
I've been telling people that Taco Bell's a laxative. They just don't listen.
It really is. Oh, here, so look at this. I'm mentioning that. So this is my new favorite snack. I'm not promoting or anything. But these Power Up, they have antioxidant ones and omega bags. And these are like the perfect snack. I actually carry these around with me, except for the one with the dark chocolate, because it'll melt in my purse in this heat. But like blueberries is my youngest daughter's favorite right now. She will take down like an entire bowl of them, and I just love it because it's an antioxidant and it's super good for you. And there's not a ton of fiber in it, but they need that to keep their system and keep everything functioning. Yeah, I'm proud of like how I've, in a sense, program them to have like good dietary things. Like they always have a fruit and vegetable on their plate, like no matter what meal it is or what time of day.
Look how many times sugar
is there. A lot of sugar in there?
Look at the ingredients. How many times is sugar mentioned?
Richard's got me on this. Is there a lot of sugar? Well, I'm gonna ask the expert over here, Amanda, to take a look at it.
Let's look.
That's refined
total
sugar.
Fat, added sugar 20%. Okay, includes 10 grams of added sugars.
Yeah. And that's refined sugar.
Are you sure?
Which is hard because they
total
add
sugar
in so
17
many things and then don't put it on like.
So would you say that's okay?
Let me see.
Dang it.
One fact I just learned recently from Jeff Cavalier, who's probably my favorite trainer and a physical therapist. You can find his videos on YouTube, but he had this fascinating video about food and nutrition and different foods to avoid. And I had never heard this before, but he said that if you're consuming bananas or berries, pick one or the other, like within like a 6-hour time frame, because bananas affect your ability to absorb berries efficiently.
Really?
Yeah,
I've heard
and it's
about
interesting
this
because
too. Yeah.
bananas and berries are such a common combination, though. You know what I mean?
When you put them in
about,
oatmeal,
if you think about
or
a
your parfaits,
smoothie, you're like, oh, strawberry banana, blueberry banana, but it's ironic because for the nutrition absorption of the berries, bananas are the worst thing you want to combine with them.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he was saying basically that pick the berries instead, because bananas don't have that many micronutrients, basically just potassium and like one other. And you can find that in other stuff that you can put in your smoothie. But basically, if you're making a smoothie or a combination of fruits, don't invite bananas to the party.
Don't invite bananas.
If berries are
Bananas
there.
the killer
Yeah,
of this one. But
yeah.
I've heard about it with other ones too that you're not supposed to mix, like certain melons with
Yes.
berries. Like it counters them, and they're actually like they don't digest well. Like if you, and it's funny that you mentioned that too, because I always make these little fruit bowls for my kids, and I'm thinking I'm like the best mom ever, but I'm always forgetting like, hey, wait, I shouldn't put watermelon with this one.
Yeah, it's
or
interesting how that
whatever.
works, but there's some combinations that affect the absorption efficiency. So the one I could remember off the top of my head that's for sure is bananas. Don't include the bananas if you have berries in the mix.
Okay.
I love that tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just depends on the person's body and where you get, information. I only eat wild blueberries because they are the most nutrient dense, and a lot of blueberries are GMO.
Where do you find those?
Good question.
The only company that has wild blueberries is Wyman's, and they are actually made here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And they're great. They're at Sprouts.
Oh, they are?
Oh, I love
Okay.
Sprouts, and they're
Yeah, I
super
like wild
reasonable price
blueberries.
there.
I
And
use-
they have
So are
a
these
website.
frozen or fresh?
They are frozen. Yep, and
Okay,
then they have wild
okay.
blueberry
Frozen.
juice.
Oh, okay.
And that's something I actually ingest every day. And I do a smoothie with bananas and wild blueberries and a lot of other things because I detox heavy
not anymore.
metals
I'm
out
just
of,
kidding.
out of my system, and it's a heavy metal
I-
detox smoothie.
Yeah.
And I do really well with it.
Mhm.
But now melon, no, it's something.
But yeah, you said
can't-
it's basically, it's not going to be bad for you, but you're just going to absorb. There's like 3 micronutrients in the blueberries. They're basically the most valuable ones that you're not going to
You're not gonna
absorb
get,
if you
yeah.
ingest bananas within like 6 hours. It's really interesting though.
And you've got to kind of work at what are you targeting? Because some
Yeah.
people have malabsorption issues, but where is that coming from?
Mhm.
Do you have parasites? Is that what's causing all these stomach issues? And then yes, whatever you eat, whether bananas, blueberries, you're not going to digest it correctly. And some people have to mesh up things together and blend it because that helps them absorb it. It just
Mhm.
depends on what.
So
you're
you just
doing.
touched on parasites.
Good.
If somebody does have a problem with parasites, A, how would they know?
Mhm.
And B, if they do have a problem with that,
That's a fun conversation.
and B, how do you get rid of them?
Oh.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, drink Clorox.
I don't have a
No,
problem.
it's the
Oh my
Tide
God.
Pods. Haven't you been watching the
Oh.
news? You just pop a few Tide Pods. No,
I don't have
I'm
a
kidding.
problem.
That's a joke. Don't do
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Since
don't
you
go
brought
There's
it up,
actually a
I'm just
shot
curious.
now that
Yeah.
they made, and it's like the
Um,
Todd Pet. Never mind. Let's go.
Tide Pods. Well, there's a lot of
It's a joke on
controversy around this. Some people don't believe that you can even have parasites, but we are one of the only countries in the
Mhm.
world that do not, vaccinate against this. But we do it with our farm animals, our
Mhm.
our pets. So there's a lot of signs and symptoms that you would know. One of them having stomach issues, malabsorption, weight gain, weight loss, hair loss, floaters in the eyes, mood swings,
Floaters in the toilet.
Yeah.
There's you can tell. Yeah. Yeah.
loose stools, constipation. But you get very sick. You get really, really sick. And probably TMI, but I actually had a parasite infestation that almost killed me
What?
about 4 years ago. That was what
I'm glad we brought this up
led,
then, so we can
led to
learn.
my part of my health journey that you know about.
Yes.
And it was awful. It was
What were your symptoms?
all of those things and then some. My bones felt like they ached. I was 110 pounds. I was 145 pounds and dropped all this weight.
How long did it take for that weight to drop? And then how long did it take for the
Wow.
other symptoms to come on?
So when we realized I had them, they said I probably, because the infestation was so bad, I probably had them since childhood.
Mm.
But I moved to Arizona
Wow.
and
yeah.
my health just went downhill. And I thought it was the climate change and things like that.
What type of
Um,
parasites were there?
They
Good
were
question.
tapeworms,
Oh, okay.
and I had some in my lungs.
Oh no.
I don't.
That spread infestation.
So how do they
dramatic.
how do they
and I
confirm
had
that that's what
liver
you had?
flukes. So I did loads of testing. That didn't have it. I had to bring them in because I was I know I have these effing things. I have all the symptoms, and I just it was a spiritual thing. I was drawn to all this information, all these things, and I
Mhm.
felt it sounds mad, but I felt I was in baited. I was I feel something is in me, and I'm I one day I was crying. I was I know I'm gonna die, and then the doctors confirmed your organs are shutting down. It looks like you have cancer on paperwork, and I'm okay. So anyway, I had a friend recommend a naturopathic doctor, even though I'd been to so many. I went to over 26 different natural Western docs, and this guy had just gotten out of school, and he was a family friend of the friend, and he was.
Is he in Arizona?
He is not, no.
Okay.
And he ordered a specific kind of lab test, and then it came back as inconclusive that I didn't have any. And he's like, I don't care what it says, you've had all these testings, we're gonna do a parasite cleanse, and it's a natural and it's all herbs, but it's at mega dosage. And it's called Cellcore, and I actually now sell this stuff because it's how much it saved my life and how much I believe in it. But yeah, herbal, I took it so today, and tomorrow morning I was expelling them, and it took me about 2 years to get rid of them.
So
And
hold on.
that's
So it's
dramatic,
a,
yeah.
So
it's a-
2 years of constant dosing with that, or did you have to
Good
incorporate any other type of meds, or what was?
Or cleanses.
2 years is a long process.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
man, yeah,
Yeah, but you know, you're talking about someone she's had for decades.
Yes.
yeah, like I was.
But yeah,
Kind of
that's what I
worst
was kind of
case
asking is like,
Yeah.
because that must have been such a process to make sure it was
Well, and
done thoroughly.
I think all
2 years.
we always have parasites.
Yes.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
like the body will
Mhm.
always have parasites. It's on the fruit we eat, and like I think one of the biggest ones is like strawberries carry the most, and like raspberries and stuff like that. And people aren't properly cleaning
That's why
their
I
fruit.
always
Well, and the
get-
biggest
I
one-
always get
I heard
organic.
that.
You always eat
Mhm.
organic strawberries. Never buy.
Yeah,
Well-
but you, even
correctly.
even the organic ones, you still have to make sure to wash out your
Well,
fruit.
and the most mind-bending part
Mm-hmm.
to really unsettle all the germaphobes is that most of the parasites living on us, it's a symbiotic relationship where they're not actually
Of course.
infecting us.
Yeah,
Like our
they're-
like
they're
over
part of the
like
biome.
over like a few square inches of skin, there's more bacteria
Yeah.
than there are like cells in your entire arm because of how many bacteria live on us.
But that's why it's really gross if you don't take a shower every day.
Yeah.
Because some people
yeah.
will skip a shower. That's really gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And.
Yeah, but to that also, you
Mm.
sometimes your skin and your body nail, like your body doesn't like natural oils and stuff like that can actually be good for you too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So if you dry out the skin too much, then it can be vulnerable to
Yeah.
bad bacteria getting in there.
There's a
So it's
there's a
all
pro and
about-
con to that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Again,
it's
the
kind of like
skin
not washing your hair every
is
day,
a-
but
is
like
a biome, a microbiome to
Mhm.
itself. Everything that's living on your skin is just a matter. But we also use so many chemicals and skin products
to wash it
you
away.
know, on your skin that upsets the biome worse than the bacteria that are
That
on
it's
there.
true. See, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to this
Yeah.
cleanse. Was it a liquid form you took every day? Was it a pill you took every day?
They're pills, and
Okay.
then you take them morning and night, and then there's like a noon part, and then in the morning and night there's also like a tincture, but you put it in drink and then you drink it. So it's quite a bit. You can do a little bit of a cleanse, for 3 days, or you could do a 7-day. I done a few here and there, and I even took like a 6-month break, and I could feel everything coming back. So and it's probably not recommended, but I went on like it was 8 months, and then I extended it like as a part-time way for 10 months, and that's when I kicked all of them out. And I did colonics in
Yeah.
between that.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Isn't that like flushing out? Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's a colon
Cool.
flush.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So how do you
So-
do that?
So what?
is that?
Oh, sorry.
It's like an enema
You never,
almost,
been,
though,
you never
right?
had a colonic?
I don't even know
they're
what that is.
amazing.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
I need one.
Yeah.
What
Sometimes
is it?
you can like drop like 10 pounds
It's a
from
flush.
getting a really good one, and it takes out
Flushes
like a lot
out.
of the dark meat, like a lot of red meat. I don't eat a ton of red meat, but there's red meat that could be in you for months,
Gross.
years. Yeah, that just stays in your body, kind of like the
Ugh.
parasite that's just living in there. So a colonic, flushes everything out, and it's really gross too because certain places they'll actually like show you what was in there, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to see it.
And you
I
have
don't
to
want to
be
see it.
careful.
No.
You have to
Yeah.
be careful.
I know
with
what I'm
them
eating. I know what I'm
because
doing to
you
this
don't wanna
body.
overdo
Like,
it.
I don't
But
wanna
it is
see
a
it.
flush of like I want to say 35 gallons of water, and it's through like the anus, and they flush out
Mhm.
your whole large intestine through your small intestine.
Yeah.
And so when you're killing off parasites, because I'm pretty positive, even though they say you can't have them in your stomach, they were absolutely in my stomach, and I won't even share why I know that, but they definitely were in my stomach, and then through all of my intestine. And they flushed all that out. So when they were dying off, you have diarrhea and constipation, and I already had all these health issues. I couldn't get my food to go through correctly. And so the colonics, I think, was a big part that saved my life. It pushed it and grabbed all the things and cleansed it in a very
Sure.
gentle way. And I started doing that at the end of that 10-month part, for 4 months. And that was a huge turn of me healing. And then from there, I started doing a lot of food therapy of what was my issues and self-medicating with a lot of herbs.
Such as what?
I'm a self-taught herbalist. I lemon balm, oregano oil, cactus claw.
Mhm.
Oh man, I take like 35 different ones, and at different like amounts. I'm trying to think.
Are these
So
oils?
one question I have: so are there any like direct side effects from doing that herbal parasite cleanse, and what were they?
Yeah.
Because like if there's
Yeah.
somebody listening who doesn't really have any direct symptoms, but they just want to do it to like
To cleanse,
de-cleanse,
yeah.
is it like still like, oh no, don't
Is it
do it? There's
safe?
like it's a week of diarrhea or something, but I don't know, what are the side effects like?
So if say you were one, because we should do them like every full moon.
Mhm.
That's when parasite activity is the greatest, and we should do them, right? So you're doing one every 6 months. I would come to you. We talk about how you eat, how you're working out, because you want your drainage pathways open and you want to be able to sweat and things. And then we also have to get good food inside of you, because if you do those few things while taking these pills, you won't have great side effects. Especially if you don't have any parasites, you're not going to have any. Now, if you don't do the things and you start doing them, you could have severe headaches. Not necessarily, you will get more constipated than diarrhea.
Interesting.
Diarrhea is more of like it's trying to flush it out, and that's a good thing. You kind of want that at the time. A lot of stomach cramping, nausea like no other, and your face can break out. So it's like these detox symptoms that happen. Yeah. And again, you can do like 3 days of it. So like say full moon is tomorrow, you do today, tomorrow, and then the next day, 3 days. Or you can do 5 days or 7 days. If it's someone like me or you, like you have a lot of parasites, you and I might do it for 2 weeks, you know, and then we'll figure that out. But yeah, you can't mess around with it, and you have to really prep the liver, because your liver needs to function very well. But a lot of us are really sick, right? When we have all these things, we're really sick, and we might already have liver issues. So we kind of have to pick and choose our battles. Like you might feel like crap for a while, but it's gonna be good because we gotta get this flushed out, and we just need to like medicate the body well with proper food and nutrients.
And then that worked for tapeworms. Is there like a specific list of parasites that flush works for, and then like other ones that might not hit?
Yeah.
Or okay.
It works for oh my goodness, like it can work for any and all of them. Like it got rid of the ones that I had, but I know other people, especially on the account that you have when you're a practitioner for these guys, there's just there's so many parasites, but there's only really like mainstream ones that we get here in the US. If you get something different, it's because you've traveled.
Mhm.
But again, it's a very great product because it hits like.
So what are the other mainstream ones then besides tapeworms? I feel like tapeworms are like probably the most common.
Yeah.
Tapeworms, liver flukes.
Probably have to look that up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
I don't know anybody that would just like know.
Well, she was saying that
offhand.
she has been selling the
Oh, that's true.
anti-parasite.
Yeah.
So that to
Yeah.
say she
Yeah, that's a
probably
good
knows the different parasites it cures.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, fluke worms, hookworms. Yeah, hookworms are a big one. Like,
Oh, I've heard of those ones too. Yeah.
yeah, those are big ones.
Can you get this from your dog?
They say you can.
You can get ringworm
They
from your
say you
dog.
can, yeah.
You can get that one, and that one you actually I think break out in like an actual ring rash. So that's like a
Under the skin.
yeah, it's a noticeable sign. Where you're like, okay, yeah,
Ringworm
something's
is like
going.
athlete's foot. It's the same.
Yeah,
It's the same
and they do
infection.
have like a pharmaceutical grade
So
like remedy
that's
for
that's not like a gut parasite, ringworm.
right.
No.
Still is a parasite,
It's
but
still-
it's more of a fungal. I
Yeah,
think.
true.
It is
Yeah.
fungal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But and even to like not make people freak out and really understand, like if you have great gut health, mental health, you know, you're doing things to be a healthy person, your body naturally is supposed to rid this stuff. Like yes,
Yeah.
you get it,
Sure.
but it could take maybe 2 years and your body breaks it down and you don't have any symptoms. It's just a part of life. It's for people more like say me. I had I was born auto-compromised and had a very weak immune system. So this is where whenever I got it, I couldn't get rid of them, and then they kept multiplying. So
Yeah.
that I was kind of a worst case scenario. But like people like you guys, I'm assuming are very healthy, and you could probably break it down a lot easier than I can.
Well, something I don't know if it's true, but maybe you would know.
Mhm.
I have some doctor friends that say that if you eat garlic
Mhm.
and eating garlic and like jalapenos and spicy foods
Mhm.
helps kill parasites. Is that true?
Garlic specifically, yes.
I
it's
love
very-
garlic.
Yes.
Get me
It's
some
like
garlic
honey.
right now.
And my dad, being a
That's what you should
physician,
carry around with you.
Well, when
I-
somebody around me
apparently.
eats,
Garlic pellets.
when somebody around me eats garlic, it repels me. I'm
No
like,
shit.
yeah, I can smell that shit all day. Like,
You
Yeah.
so
Nothing wrong with that.
back to the gut health though. This is something that's like become like an epidemic in like the world right now because there's actually young people dying of like colon cancers and like basically stomach issues that have like gone a little too far, and it's scary to say the least. And it's like, what's driving all this? Like, is it the vaping? Is it the bad processed food? Is it parasites? Is it the trauma that they carry around with them where they can't actually like let go of things, and then their nervous system and their body and their organs take effect of that? Like, do you think
All
that
of it.
it's all
of the
inclusive?
above,
is it because they're
Yeah.
not eating well
I think-
rounded, and they're
and
not
I think we're
eating
gonna find
focused
so
meals?
much of it is related to inactivity because, yeah, when you're not moving, basically your whole entire body is use it or lose it. And so when you're not moving, then your muscles aren't moving. The whole system starts to break down.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
you also start aging way faster. So this is like the first time we've had like a generation of kids who've been lazy their whole life that are like getting older and into adulthood. So we're basically seeing the results of like basically what it's like when you're out of shape your entire life, if that can be sustained. And for some people it's not.
And it's because they're sitting there gaming and doing TikTok and sitting on
Yeah.
their
Oh,
phones.
absolutely.
It's the phones and the computers that are 100%
Yes.
causing it. And now they're trying to push them into virtual reality. Like, that's going to be better. Like, no, people should start encouraging getting back out into the world, playing
Playing
sports,
outside.
adventure, hiking. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Camping.
such a good point.
Yeah.
Because even on my health journey, there was a time where I was super idle, and I've always been a lifter, very active hiking, very outdoorsy, and I couldn't do those things, and I was advised not to do those things because your body has to heal. And then it was a point of just like rage where I'm like, I need to. And the minute I was like, screw this, I'm gonna start lifting, even though I was told not to because I had Addison's disease and cortisol issues, blah blah. My healing went because I was healing at a place of like, okay, but my mental health was just failing.
Stagnating probably so bad, and then it gets into a loop.
Were you not
And
doing
then-
yoga back then?
No.
Well, and
I
they've
was advised not to do anything.
They've analyzed it on
Wow.
a cellular level too. When you work out and you break down the muscles, your body releases that HGH to repair them. That probably also gets put to the area that's sick and needs healing too.
Yes.
So it's like basically your body has a healing response to when you work out. So the less often your body is doing that, the less capable your body's going to be to release those chemicals in the first place.
And that's it. Yes, everything you're saying. And then that's where this whole mental health and the spiritualness, you need to know yourself, know your body, mentally know your limits for today, not be all in your head like, I want to be, lift 200 pounds and squat this and that. Like, you just need to know, I have to work into this. This isn't realistic today, but it will be if I set a goal. And just push yourself just a little bit, listen to the body. The body's saying stop or keep going, do those things. Just try it. We live in such a fear-based society now, and it just makes me so mad because it was like I was a strong, healthy person, and then I went into this whole rabbit hole, and then I had all these things happening, and then what you're saying, and then that was a big part of my healing.
They're like, you're sick, you need medicine, you need to buy this medicine.
Yeah,
I'm also
absolutely.
selling you this medicine.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of people pushing a lot of herbal
Yes,
collagen and here's the thing, it's like if you're not even using the medicine properly, like the banana and the blueberries,
Yeah.
if you're not taking the like steps to like actually know how it's affecting your body, how it's breaking down, because I feel like I probably had bad gut health like my whole life, like, and it's not that I eat bad, it's I think it's just like part of probably like my genetics, where I probably don't break things down like the same way that somebody else would. And then there's bad habits, I'm like the worst person ever. I do not ever want to go to the gym. I'd rather walk my dog. I'd rather ride my bike around the neighborhood or something. Too hot now,
That's
but
fun.
those
Come hike
those
with me.
I can't make Camelback the whole way. Don't ever ask
We
me.
don't like that.
I can't. I can only make it like 3/4 of the way up, and then I'm going back
I
down.
don't even do
Maybe
that.
when the weather gets better, but in this
No,
heat,
no,
definitely
no,
not.
no.
That's right.
No, well, my husband actually took me to Fat Man's Pass when we first met in August. when we first met in 2004.
I don't know where that is.
It's out there, like South Mountain area. It's called Fat Man's Pass, and you can't fit through it
Right,
if you're
right.
fat. It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
that's why it's called Fat Man's Pass.
Right, I know
But
it.
we had two water bottles,
Yeah.
2 water bottles.
Do you know how many miles it is?
It was disgusting. I was so upset with him. He's taken me to like 2 extremes. That one, and then like frisbee golf in Minnesota when it was like -4, and I'm just like, how am I still with this man? I have no idea. But he like literally
He likes to get himself out of a pickle. It
right,
sounds
two
like.
very big extremes. But again, with people's health journey and like what your program is going to give to people, I think it's going to be like the great compilation of like mind, body, soul, like you said, and then also like nutrition, like releasing trauma, releasing stress, like figuring out like what's triggering you and what's keeping you from reaching like your health goals and path, you know?
Yeah, and that's just it. It's just like we can all do different things, different regimens, different food. We just have to figure out what works today, what works the next day. It's literally a science experiment. It's not. I don't hold any of these special like equations for people. It's just truly like I've done a lot of research and I've done a lot in my own body and helped other people, and I'm like, hey, let's figure this out. Here's some tools. Here's how you navigate. Here's how you find resources. Here's how you look at things. And I think that's not being taught ever, whether it's medically in schools, to take
Certainly not
initiative.
medically.
The sad
No,
part
it's
though,
trial and
the
error.
sad part though is that you hear about people all the time who are at that point you were at, and they don't think to go to that naturopathic doctor, and then they end up having like either a permanent health issue because they waited too long, or the Western doctors never found it, or they end up dying because they never think of the parasites. It's wild. Like, I don't know what the right word is, but there's, I guess, just a laziness that sometimes comes from doctors on that side.
Yeah.
Well, it's called practicing medicine.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some
Trial and
doctors.
error.
That being said, there are some doctors who practice Western medicine that will go to any length to try to cure you.
Yep.
So it's not
Exactly.
it's not everybody is one size fits all kind of a thing. But it's just sad that nowadays, for some people, you have to search everywhere to get health care properly. It happened to you.
Yeah, and I
So-
think it's like the heart of the like physician or the practitioner, or however you want to say it, And I think another part of it is like because we eat so many preservatives, that's changing our chemistry biologically. And so yes, these doctors are just passing down the knowledge from back in the day, but now
things have changed.
we're changed. So maybe they're like ignorance is bliss, right? They're like, hey, this is how we do it. And it's like, hey, but this person's body's evolving, and they have been eating chemicals literally since they started formula, And I
Yeah.
think we have to change with the
Literally.
times.
Well, that's why when you're ordering Uber Eats from these
I've
like
never once.
average restaurants, it's not, you're not eating good food.
No,
And if you're doing that consistently, it's really bad for your health. How do you feel about probiotics?
I like them. Yeah,
That's a good one.
There's a lot of hype around it.
Mhm.
You've got to find a great one, a good one. Do the research on what needs to be in it.
Because if you get it from your foods like sauerkraut
Yeah,
or
that's
kefir
great.
or yogurt,
Well, it's
you're
like
making sure.
natural fluoride is in cauliflower. It's a natural fluoride in there.
Really?
Yes, I learned that from my daughter's dentist, and I was like, sweet, because they love cauliflower. And broccoli's got 4 times more vitamin C than an orange.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, that I did know, and I love broccoli. And that's,
Yep, both of those are on my table. Like we
Yeah,
alternate
I love
those.
that.
I don't
Put a
even
little
care that they don't want the
Parmesan
other.
on a little,
Oh yeah, no, they don't.
zest on
They
the broccoli.
honestly, like, they don't even want any of that extra stuff on there. I don't have to put cheese on or anything. I'm really fortunate. But probiotics, to that point, I give my daughters a gummy, and I looked up on the Yucca app to see which one had the least amount of yuckies in it. Basically,
Yucky,
because
yeah.
it's called the Yucca app. It's a little carrot, and you can scan any cosmetic and any
Oh,
food.
good. That's helpful.
It's
Yeah.
so great. There's another one. It's like called like the Dirty or something, but this
Yeah.
one is really cool. And I went into Sephora and I was like scan crazy one day, and I ended up changing my makeup to one that
Yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
that was rated
is
like
it.
super
No
The
good.
point is-
toxins.
The point is, you've got to be proactive.
And
if
aware.
you really want
Yeah.
to deal with any of this stuff, you've got to be proactive. Period.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
for like longevity and just
Yeah.
like
But don't you
my
think it's
mom-
better
yeah.
to
Okay.
be using
No,
foods?
how much time we
then-
got left?
Like 5 minutes.
Like
Oh
a
man,
pill.
well we
Yeah,
got to
yes.
address
Yes,
one
I
more
do.
thing, please. I've been
Yes.
wanting to ask you this since we met you hiking.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this brainwave stuff.
Oh.
He's very interested in brainwave therapy.
Well, I'm actually not doing that anymore.
Oh, you know
but
about
tell us
it.
about it.
Yeah. well, there's lots of forms of it, but there is brainwave therapies that help people who have mental health issues, addiction, things like that, where they record the brainwaves, they run it through like an EEG, and then they process it back to the person's brain, so they hear their own brain wave and what it's doing, and it self-corrects. It auto-corrects the brain, seeing like there's an imbalance here and I don't like that, or it decides like, no, this imbalance works for me today. So there's a lot of neuroscience research being done out there on,
That's fascinating.
And the brainwave therapy, interesting.
Yeah.
So and that's so what is on your bucket list as a fitness coach, yoga coach, life nutrition coach?
For like
What's
the
on
rest
the
of the
bucket
year. Yeah, we're
Yes.
halfway through the year for like the rest of the year.
Rest of the year. I have a 5-year. No, the rest of the year is I want to just keep networking and get this information. I want to teach people so they can be their own scientists, that they can be their own, observers of their lives, and just tap in a different way. Because I feel like if you tap in mind, body, and spirit, we are happier as a collective, and then we know these like facts and these things, and we just have better conversations, and we're not self-medicating. I come from a long line of addiction in my family, and it's painful. It's painful to see people hurting and they don't know how to help themselves, because at the root cause it's mental health. But if you're not shown how to help yourself and how to heal and how to be around like-minded people, you just keep doing the same patterns because it's easy, because fear, so I think this year is just, I want to network. I just want to talk to people. It's not even about money. It's just like, hey, do you want to have a conversation? Do you want to talk about gut health? What do you want to talk about? Mental health? Like, what do you want to talk about?
I'm sold. Give me your handle.
Yeah.
Exactly. How do people get a hold of you? What's your Instagram?
So my Instagram is holistic. It's HOLISTIC _LIF and then a 3. So life, but with a 3. Holistic _life. On
I
Instagram.
love that.
And then on Facebook.
Life with the 3.
So like the
Instead
E is
of
the
an
3.
E?
Yeah.
Instead of an E. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Someone
Three
said
instead
But
of an
is that because of the mind, body, soul, like the 3, or somebody took the E?
Someone took the E,
Okay.
but ironically, I was like, that is crazy, because that
It
came into my
makes-
head. And 3 has always been my lucky number, and I see it everywhere.
Oh, it's like your
It's
angel
like,
number.
yes.
I always see 1, 2, 3, 4.
See, it's so it worked, and it's interesting. But yeah, that's how you find me on Instagram. And then I have a website, and that's ifruitions.com. And Facebook is Idnama Fruitions. So it's kind of all over the place, but we'll
I
put it in
love
the
it.
show notes.
It's incredible that you went through such a difficult childhood, and you're doing so much now to help others. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
And you're so sweet and gentle. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, do you guys have any other questions for Amanda?
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
To talk on this. This is
Oh yeah.
yeah.
My,
So the little snackums.
it's not good.
So when you were talking about sugar, I always look at ingredients, and you know how we're talking about preservatives and high inflammation, which causes mental health issues and all
Yep.
the things.
Inflammation is
Bad, and it breaks down the gut
Rampant.
lining, and then you're free floating all your food in your body and poisoning yourself, and it's really horrific. So
How do you feel about turmeric?
turmeric's amazing.
Turmeric is amazing.
beautiful-
Yeah,
So-
I don't think there's anything bad you can say about turmeric.
Because you mentioned inflammation, and I know it's so anti-inflammatory. And
That's something I'm on high dose.
really okay.
There's a
'cause-
golden milk recipe I gotta give you, and it
Oh,
uses,
really?
and it's like the best thing to have before bed, and it's like so delicious.
Because I notice if I have any kind of, something that's hurting or inflammation, I take a big scoop of that turmeric powder that I bought at Costco,
Mhm.
and it's organic,
Mhm.
and it tastes horrible, and I
Of course
put
it
it in with a little bit of water and almost choke it down. But as soon as I drink that,
That's how she takes
I'm
it.
already better.
But
I
you can
mean,
be using it with your cooking. You can be
Yeah.
using it with like a lot of other ways. You don't have to be taking
Well,
the
I
apple
don't-
cider
well,
recipe like
I
that
agree with
way.
you, but whatever I put
That's
it
how
in,
she eats her salt too. Just-
whatever I put it in, I can taste it, and so the taste is so I don't like it. So I just want to just take, just swig it down and I'm done.
Yeah.
Instead of putting it in something
Well,
making the whole thing taste bad.
Yeah.
And that latte could be good. I know what you're talking about. And then put honey in it, because honey would be good.
Mhm.
Um,
The honey is in that golden milk too.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is
It's
it?
it's
Okay.
like it's like
That's a
it's
classic, the golden milk.
yeah, and it's just I'll have to share the recipe with you. It's amazing, and it's just that helps you
So
sleep.
what were you
really-
saying?
Yeah, no. So
Okay,
this sugar
so-
on here.
In the ingredients, it has like cranberries and things, but it has sunflower oil in it, citric acid, it has canola oil, sunflower oil, has banana flavor. All of those things are soy. soy is horrific for us. It's
Yeah.
in America. It's
Yeah.
cut at 60%
I
with
agree.
preservatives. It's not even soybean anymore. Any canola oil,
So it's
sunflower.
totally bad.
Seed oils
Any-
in
yeah.
general.
I've heard that. I've heard
Well,
that if you
packaging,
actually
They
get
really do package
soy
things.
that's from like Japan or that area, that it actually might be okay for your system because
Yeah.
it's like
I think.
authentic, original.
Right,
Soy,
because
yeah,
like
but
the
no,
FDA doesn't care about us
fermented
here.
soy is good soy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
so basically,
Yeah.
the source
Like-
of it matters so much. It's one of those things.
Miso is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So we only have
Yes.
less than a minute left, and I wanted to end on a happy note that I really feel like we're going to be doing so much, and we want you back on the show.
Yeah,
And I know that you have a beautiful husband
Yeah.
that didn't give up on you, and you're happily married. And I really think that love is so healing.
Yes, it is.
So I wanted to end with saying how important love is, because I
Love
think
is the
he,
answer.
you said that he was
Right
really
on.
he's really good to her,
Yeah.
Right
and he's helped her get through all this through all
Yeah.
the years. So,
Yeah, he is amazing. Shout out to Phil. He's great.
yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you don't even know how to love yourself, other people can show you self-love.
And he never
not,
gave up on you.
yeah, not in a codependent way, but just somebody being unconditional.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel like we as Americans don't know what is unconditional.
Saving the planet.